Everybody, it's Mr. Cognetti from Citizenship Academy. Welcome back to our math lesson. Today we're going to continue working with time. We're going to practice, be doing a lot of practice today with telling time that is o'clock and 30. So we might have 12 o'clock or 12:30. We're going to do it a couple different ways. The first way we're going to start out with is I'm going to show you on the big clock a time, and I want you to write down the time, and then we'll check your answer with me. So make sure you have something to write on and write with. And then another way will be I will write down the time in number form, not on the clock, and then I'll have you think about what it's going to look like on a clock. If you have your own clock, you can even show it on that clock, but otherwise you're going to think about what it'll look like on my clock, and then I'll actually draw it, and you can check your work to see if you're correct or incorrect. Okay, so to start off, I want you to write the time that matches what is being shown on the clock. And I'll do this first one for us to give us an example. So I have my hour hand in red, that is the short hand, and my minute hand in green, that is the longer hand or the big hand. And I'm always going to start by reading what the hour hand is pointing to first. So I see that it's pointing to 2, so it's going to be 2 something. And now when we're writing out the time, I'm going to start with those 2 dots. On this side of the 2 dots, the left side, we put the hour, and on the right side of the 2 dots, we put the minutes. So I know my hour hand is pointing to 2. So our hour must be 2 o'clock, or 2. We don't know if it's 2 o'clock or 2:30 yet. Now, my minute hand, which is going to go on this side, is pointing up to the 12. Now, you got to remind me, do we say o'clock or do we say 30 when the minute hand is pointing to the 12? We say o'clock. So it's 2 o'clock. So that means we write o'clock with 2 zeros. That means there are 0 extra minutes. If this minute hand was pointing to this first little tick mark, that would mean there's 1 minute. It'd be 2:01 for that 1 minute. But we're going to get into that later. Not today, so don't worry about that. So this clock is showing 2 o'clock. Remember, when the minute hand is pointing up to the 12, we say o'clock. All right? Now, give me a second and I will draw our next time in here. All right, so I want you to put your 2 dots just like I have right there. And on the left side of them, you're going to write what hour it is. And on the right side, you're going to write whether the minute hand is pointing to o'clock or 30. So try and take a couple seconds to see if you can read what this clock is saying. Only going to give you about 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. All right. Let's see if your answer matches my answer. Now, to go on the left side of these dots, I'm going to put the hour, and I'm going to look at the hour hand first. We're always going to read the hour hand first. So that's pointing to the 8. So I'm going to write, let me get my black marker. I'm going to write 8 for the hour. And then I have my minute hand pointing straight up to the 12. And just like the last problem, I know 12 means that there's 0 extra minutes. So that's o'clock, 8 o'clock. All right? 8, hour hand pointing to the 8, o'clock, minute hand pointing to the 12. All right, how'd you do on that one? Thumbs up, you got it right. Thumbs down, need a little more work? Let's try another one. I'm going to leave my 2 dots there because we need to have those to write the time. And all right, take a couple seconds, see if you can tell me what time this is showing. We have the hour hand pointing straight down and the minute hand pointing straight up. 4 more seconds. right. So here's my 2 dots, and this is how we're going to write it out. Remember, do we start by reading the hour hand or the minute hand? The hour hand, which is the short one. We're always going to go with the short hour hand first. And the short hour hand is pointing to the 6. So simple as that, I write 6. Then we go to the minute hand. The minute hand is pointing to the 12. And I know when the minute hand's pointing to the 12, just like the last 2 problems, we say o'clock, which means, or when we write it with 2 zeros, 6 o'clock. And that is what this clock is showing. How'd we do on that one? Good? Not so good? Getting there? I'm sure we're all getting there if you don't have it yet. Alrighty, let's do another one. Raise both hands this time. Alright, take a couple seconds and see if you can figure out what this one, actually hold on, wait a second. I don't like how I drew it. I was just looking at the camera. It's not perfect. Alright, now try this one. Try and tell me what time this one. This one's a little trickier. It's going to be a little different. Take a couple more seconds. Alright, pencils down. If you don't have it, that's okay. Follow along with me, otherwise check your work with mine. Let me do this, I'll write this one over here. So I got my 2 dots. On the left side I'm putting the hour, on the right side I'm putting the minutes. Okay, so we're going to start with the shorter hand. Always going to read that one first. It's the hour hand. And it doesn't look like it's pointing to the 3. It looks like it's a little past it. Remember, clocks spin in this direction. It's called clockwise direction. That's why we call it that. It's the way clocks rotate. So we have, this is past the 3 on its way to the 4, but it's not at the 4 yet. So we can't say it's 4 o'clock. So if it's in between the 3 and the 4, we still say 3. Okay? So that's 3, the hour is 3, but it's not 3 o'clock because the minute hand isn't pointing to the 12, it's pointing down to the 6. And when the minute hand points at the 6, we say 30. So that must mean it is 3:30. If we were to count all the little hash marks in between the 12 and the 6, well, let's actually do it. We'll count by 5s. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 in between each number, so let's count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So there are 30 minutes in between the 12 and the 6. So that's how we get 3:30. All right, let's try another one. Try one more this way. All right, and let me erase this. Take a couple seconds and try and figure out what time it is showing. Take 3 more seconds. All right, so I have my 2 dots up here. Hopefully you do on your paper. And we're going to start on the left side with the hours, which is the shorthand. We're always going to start with the shorthand. Don't forget that, okay? And what is this pointing to? Is it pointing to the 2? Not quite. It's a little past it. And remember, we go around the clock this way. We're going around it this way. So if it's going this way, Has it gotten to the 3 yet? It hasn't, so we're still going to say 2. Even though it's not pointing directly at the 2, we're still going to say 2 because it's not at the 3 yet. So 2. And then we have the minute hand pointing right down to the 6. And I know that when the minute hand's pointing to the 6, we say 30. So it must be 2:30. And that is how we write it out. The hour hand on this side of the dot, or the hour on this side of the dots, minutes on the right side. Okay? All right. Now, we're going to do it a little differently. So if you have your own clock that you can draw on, awesome. If not, don't worry about it. We'll work together and figure this out. I'm going to write a time down using the numbers, and then you are going to work with me and think about how it's going to look on the clock. So, if I were to write 7 o'clock, think about how that is going to look on this clock up here. The first question you want to ask yourself is, where is that hour hand going to be pointing? Where is that little hand going to point to? And that's this number. So the hour hand is going to point to the 12. Okay? So I'm going to draw my hour hand, my short little red hand, pointing to the 7. I think I might have said 12. Sorry. 7. It's the hour. It just tells, we don't have to do really any math. It tells us right here. Boom. Hour of 7. Draw your hour hand pointing to the 7. Then we have 0 extra minutes. So this is o'clock. Where does the minute hand point when we say o'clock? It points to the 12. Bring it all the way up here. This is the real long hand. Color that guy in so you can see it. And that is how we show 7 o'clock. Okay? I'm going to write the next one up here. And I want you to start thinking about what it's going to look like on this clock as I'm erasing it, okay? So the next one I want you to think about is 8:30. Okay? Think about where the hour hand and minute hand are going to be pointing to show 8:30. Take a couple seconds. Take about 5 more seconds to be thinking about what this is going to look like. 8:30. 3 and 2 and 1 and we're back. Okay. So up here when we're looking at our time, we read it just like we're reading a book or any sentence. We go from left to right. So we're going to start with the hour hand again. And what number do you think my hour hand or my shorthand is going to be pointing to? It is going to be pointing to the 8. Yeah, because it's 8:30, so the hour hand is 8. So I'm going to be pointing it to the 8. There's my hour hand pointing to the 8. Now, 30. When we say 30, does our minute hand point up to the 12 or down to the 6? It points down to the 6. Good job. So I'm going to draw my minute hand. Make sure it's way longer than my hour hand. Down to the 6. Now, since this is halfway through the hour, 30 minutes, I could get a little bit more technical and actually draw my hour hand in between the 8 and the 9. Because remember, 8 o'clock would be pointing right to the 8, and then this hour hand slowly starts moving towards the 9. And it's not at the 9 yet, it's pointing halfway in between. That means there's 30 minutes, so it's showing 8:30. Okay, let's do one more. I want you to think of, we'll go with 6:30. 6:30. Okay, so I'll erase my hands as you're thinking about it. What is this clock going to look like to show 6:30? Take a couple seconds. Okay, now, what hand are we starting with? Are we going to start by reading the hour hand or the minute hand? The hour hand, because that is on the left side. We're going to read the shorthand first. So what should my hour hand be pointing to? It should be pointing to the 6. But I notice 6:30, it means it's not going to be pointing directly at the 6. It's going to be a little bit past it. So if we're spinning this way around the clock, and I come down and I get to the 6, but I'm a little bit past it, I'm not going to be to the 7 yet. So I'm going to draw, wrong marker. I'm going to draw my hour hand pointing in between the 6 and the 7. So it's not quite to the 7. It kind of looks like it is, sorry. Sorry guys, I'm not the best drawer, it's a little tough. How's that? That a little better? Pointing down here. All right, and then we have to show 6:30. Where's my minute hand going to be pointing? Is it going to be pointing straight up to the 12, or is it going to be pointing down to the 6? Down to the 6. And this is our big hand, so it's got to be way longer. And there we have it. So we read the hour hand first, 6:30. And that's how we're showing that. All right. Great job today, guys. It was a little bit longer than normal, but that's okay. We got some good practice in. That was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that. You guys have been doing great. And once again, I miss you guys. I hope you're doing really well and staying healthy. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you later.